All right, let me start. First, my name is Shuya Yamada. I'm Kenji's first son. And my brother is Yohei Yamada. He's out feeding the dog right now, but he is here. And I came from Michigan. Yohei came from Chicago. And Yohei's wife, Hillary, and daughter, Finley, also came from Chicago by flying. And Hillary's father, Mr. Bill, and Mrs. Tracy over there, they flew from North Carolina. So very far away. And I think many of the other friends are my dad's friends from Denver area, right? Is anybody else that came from farther away? Japan? I talked to many Japanese friends online. They wanted to come here, but it was a little bit too far to come for dinner. So they asked me if I go to Japan next time, we're going to have a special celebration of life in Japan. And there's also golfing friends my dad had. I forgot the club's name, but what is the golf club's name? It's the oldest golf club in Denver, 50 years. I'm going to have a dinner with them on 29th of December to celebrate my dad's life as golfing friends. And all the pictures out there, Hillary made those pictures, so thank you for doing that, Hillary. And all the flowers, Michi-san and Yoshikawa-san made those beautiful flowers. So thank you very much. And we also have a special guest from Conifer Mountains at 9,000 feet. They live very close to my dad. Many of them are standing on this table. And Jim and Diane is our parents' adjacent neighbor, and they helped us in a difficult time. So thanks for you guys for coming down the mountain to see us. So I also want to give a special thank you to all the Toshi-san's staff and chef. I know this Monday is your day off, right? This is your Sunday.
I have a staff, waitresses.
Oh, and waitresses.
No, it's okay. Sit down and eating over there. So.
But thank you for working on your day off to make this event happen. So my dad and my mom came here a lot because they love this restaurant, the best restaurant in Denver.
Thank you.
And when somebody goes to heaven, there's only one thing you can take it to heaven with you, and that's your memories. I learned that twice now, once with mom, once with my dad. And for 78 years, my dad made a lot of great memories because he had great friends and families to share all his travel adventures. And if my dad was a camera, he was an avid photographer, he would be saying, hey, my memory is full, buddy, I gotta go. Last week, I was crying at night, but I did make a nice video story about my dad, which I was showing on the screen, and I sent to some of you with text messages. If you like a copy, I can send you the YouTube link later, so please let me know. And including myself, and many of you are probably wondering how did our dad pass away? So looking back this year, he had a very busy life. Back in March, my dad came to Steamboat, Colorado, and Aspen Snowmass, and he was skiing with us at 12,000 feet, just fine. My little boy is 8 years old. Until 5 years old, my dad could outski him, but when he turned 6, my dad said, you know what? I hate to say it, but I can't keep up with you anymore. But he was doing fine. And then May, he went to Japan for a month, traveling in Japan. And in summertime, we went to Yellowstone from Michigan to go camping. So my dad drove from Denver to Yellowstone, 2 days, and he was camping for 1 week. He did hiking, fly fishing, and he was fine too. And then in October, he drove down to Santa Fe with some of the friends here to go watch.
Right here.
Yeah. You went there, so thank you. So he was very happy to meet this, was a 12 years old Japanese violin girl who's famous in orchestra, and she had dinner with you guys, and you guys became friends. And then driving all the way back from Santa Fe, and a couple days later, he went to Japan for 1 month. And this was starting October, and after talking to Oguchi-san, is one of the friends from school, he had a very, very busy schedule. Like every day he was changing place in Japan, traveling, fly fishing for trout, ocean fishing for fish, onsen, dinner. So I think that got him a little tired. But he made it back home okay. And then he came back home on Wednesday. I called him 5 p.m. on Wednesday. He sounded very tired, and he went to bed. And right after that, the communication became very quiet. I know he responded to 1 or 2 persons' line text message on his phone, but he wasn't calling us back. So I think what happened, my brother studied medicine for a little bit. We think he got a DVT, which stands for deep vein thrombosis, where when older folks travel on an airplane and you sit in the same place for, say, 13 hours, 2 or 3 days later, you get a blood clot traveling through your body. So sometimes you get blood clot in your leg, and that you can massage it out. But if you get clot in your brain or heart or lung, that's it. So whatever he had, it was a pretty quick one, because he went to his driveway to work on the F-150, but he had no time to call for help. And then he did have his Apple Watch, which he bragged to all his buddy. I have an Apple Watch, it's going to call somebody when I have a problem, but I think he just collapsed at the wrong place in the property where the cell phone signal was low. So I think that's what happened. But he did a great job. He had fun in Japan, but he somehow made it home to his house at 9,000 feet. And he always joked to us, my house is the best house in the whole world because heaven is right there. It's right there. I don't have to go far to go to the heaven. So if his body could talk to my dad, the body will be saying, hey, Kenji, I've been with you. I've been running your engine for 78 years. And you started your last adventure from Conifer Mountain, and I got you home to the same spot where my mom passed away 7 years ago. But now your 78-gallon gas tank is finally empty. So my engine's going to turn off. And I think it's simple as that. That's how he went. My favorite sushi is ikura. Whenever I went to Alaska with my dad and my brother, we catch tons of salmon. And we make our own ikura. Ikura is salmon eggs. And my favorite thing was put more salmon egg ikura than the rice and eat it for breakfast. Many times ikura is pretty expensive, so we couldn't eat much. But when I catch my own salmon, I can make whatever I want. And the story about salmon is, from these little ikura you see, little baby salmon hatches in the beautiful rivers on top of the mountain. And then they swim down to the Pacific Ocean where they eat big, other fish to get bigger and bigger. And after 3 or 4 or 5 years, somehow without GPS, they find their own home. They find the river where they grew up from, and they swim up the river. And that's how they find their own home to lay eggs, and they have to fight bears, fishermen, eagles, seals, and sharks. And they have to climb these big waterfalls. You see those in Discovery channels, right? And only 2 out of 5,000 eggs will come back as adults to lay the next generations of eggs. So my dad was also a fly fisherman. He knew the story of the salmon. I think that knowledge kept him going on his last adventure to Japan and back to Conifer to keep him alive. So I'm very happy that he didn't die in Japan or in an airplane or driving up the 285. So there are some stories that I don't think anybody know here. I'm going to share this about my dad. The first one is first date with my mom. So it goes back to 1960s, I calculated. My mom was waiting in the cafe for a while because my dad never showed up to the first date. What's up? There's no cell phone, right? So you got to put like 10 yen in the phone machine and you got to call people up. So my mom called my dad's house and my grandma answered the phone. Oh, Haruko-san, Kenji is still sleeping. Don't go anywhere. Stay there. I'm going to wake him up. I'm going to send him right away. So my mom ended up waiting for a few hours, I imagine, at the cafe by herself on the first date. So I never found out what's so charming about my dad, but my mom's patience allowed us to have this event here today. And the last funny story is, this took place in Africa. When my dad was still working for Caterpillar, he was sent to Africa on a business trip. And he was driving in a taxi cab, but this country suddenly entered coup d'etat. So his taxi was surrounded by African mob with AK-47, and they surrounded his taxi cab. They were shouting and rocking his cab. So I still remember him telling me that was the scariest moment of his life. And then it was his instinct to, roll down the window, put his big Kenji smile on, give them the peace or the victory sign, and give them $5 American bill. And when they saw his face, they were stunned too, because I think the only other Asian face they saw was Jackie Chan or Bruce Lee. But the first guy accepted his offer, and they started cheering, and all the other mob started shooting AK-47 up in the sky. And before my dad knew, his taxi cab got similar to the presidential motorcade, with a guide escorting him out of the town. So, anyways, he always had special charisma. Any place, any time. I think he got to make great friends, and that's also the reason why we're having this celebration of life tonight. So now, I want to offer him 30 seconds of silence. Japanese, we call it mukuto.
Mokuto.
Yes, mukuto. So, let me do 30 seconds. Okay, thank you, everybody. My dad is here tonight. My mom is also here too. They're watching from heaven. My dad would be saying something like, I'll be waiting for you guys, but don't come see me too soon. And thank you all for making happy memories. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Tochi-san and all the staff. This is an awesome party. Oh, if you have a glass, we can do kenpai, right? Kenpai? Kanpai? But with the kenpai, isn't it? With K-E-N?
この場合はね、K なのよ。献杯なのよ。こういうおめでたくないよ。
Okay, kenpai, everybody.
はい。
乾杯。Cheers.
ありがとう。